With me today, I have James Shields. Now, James is the owner of Frostmailer, a business which he has scaled to just shy of $400,000 in revenue in the year of 2025, months after he graduated from secondary school. Now, James, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you taking the time every day. It's an absolute privilege to have you on, brother.
Anytime, anytime. No, I appreciate it, Hugh. By the way, my Wi-Fi might be a little bit laggy, so if it is, just shout. But no, I appreciate it, man. It's a pleasure to be here, man. It's a pleasure to be here, man. I'm excited to talk.
Appreciate it. Amazing. Amazing. Now, just for anyone who's curious, like, what is Frostmailer? What do you actually do?
So, Frostmailer is basically it's like a software surrounding cold email. So, if you want to do cold email, you need to have this thing called cold email inboxes, and we
Mm.
basically sell those cold email inboxes. So we buy them from Google, just normal Google addresses, and we resell them. Obviously, we take a margin there. So really, just anyone who's doing cold email, they'll know what I'm talking about. But if you want to do cold email, obviously you need to have cold email inboxes. We basically just sell them on at a reseller price.
And what is cold email?
So cold email is basically where you have a few softwares together. You send
Yeah.
out thousands of emails out every day, and obviously the end goal is to book as many sales calls as possible. So, for example, I might send out 5,000 cold emails out today. I might book 5 or 6 sales calls for my agency, and I might close 1 or 2 people from that. So it's really just a client acquisition method.
Mm.
Um, a lot of the big agencies use it. A lot of people in this sort of online space use it too. And yeah, I mean, it's really just instead of running ads, you can run cold email. In my opinion, it's a lot better. It's a lot more cost effective, and it's a lot more scalable too. So I'd say a good way to describe it is it's just a client acquisition method.
And if somebody were to start with you, they get onboarded. They have a couple hundred inboxes. Is that correct, or a couple hundred
Yeah,
inboxes?
exactly. So yeah. So each inbox is like think of it like you were doing manual outreach, right? So if you want to reach out to, let's say, roofers, like you have a service that you help roofers, you would, if you were to do it manually, you would basically send 15 or 20 emails a day from like your own Google or Gmail account.
Mm.
But instead of doing it manually, you do it basically automated. So you can automate that out, send out thousands of emails a day, and like for example, if you were to send out like 2,000 emails a day, you'll need around 100 inboxes. Each inbox
Okay.
is like $3.50, so it's a lot more cheaper than Google itself.
And you were saying there you'd have like you can send like up to 5,000 emails a day. In, let's say if I was a roofing company or lawyers or accountants, like how can they actually send 5,000? How do they actually have that people to reach out to?
It's a good question. I get that. I get asked that a lot, on calls. But I would say, like, there's always going to be businesses out there. Obviously, it depends on who you're targeting. But if you
Mm.
have a broad enough target audience, you can you can send out 15, 20,000 emails a day and still be booking calls every day. Like one of my friends, for example, he sends out like 15,000 emails a day. He'll book in like 11 or 12 sales calls a day, and he's an ecom, so his target audience might be 500,000 people. He'll just reuse those leads, send out 15,000 emails a day, reuse those leads, and that's like a constant client acquisition source. Like you're never going to run out of people because every 3 or 4 months you just reuse those leads because they've completely forgotten about you anyway. If that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, with you, do you kind of go with you personally for your business? Do you kind of have a broad niche, or do you kind of niche down specifically?
Yeah, good question. So for me, I basically just work with agencies like marketing agencies, like Facebook ad agencies, email marketing agencies, etc. So a lot of it will just be any service-based business, like whether they run like even a creative studio or anything like that. It'll be like a service-based business, and there's millions of those. So my ICP, my target audience is huge. So I can send out 50,000 emails a day if I wanted to. Obviously, I would be booking a lot of calls with that. You would need a few closers on the calendar to sort of keep up with that volume, but Um, I mean, for myself, as I said, like my target audience is millions, so I never really run into an issue of running out of leads.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you often hear that the riches are in the niche. You need to scale down and help a small group of people. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think you definitely can. Like it's that is still possible to do with cold email. Like even if your target audience is like 10,000 people, you could send out like 200 personalized emails every day. But it's like why would you sort of do that when you can book like 10 calls a day and then even eventually expand into having a sales team booking 50, 60 calls a day? Like you're just going to build a bigger company in my opinion, unless your price point is extremely high, if you're sort of niching down. But I mean, there's a couple different ways of looking at it. There's no really right or wrong, but I just prefer to sort of expand, take on a bigger sort of ICP, and that means
Yeah.
I can send more volume. I have more people there that can actually pay me money.
Mm. Okay, and for your business, James, I remember I first met you in February, and your business was doing a couple of grand a month compared to at the end of the year, you managed to scale to just shy of 400,000. I mean, what was the difference in those months that like switched everything for you?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think a big one, was finishing school. So I started, the business maybe about 2.5 years ago. So I just finished up transition year, so fourth year in school, and obviously your time is going to be limited. I didn't really study a whole pile anyway, but your
Yeah.
time's always going to be limited. If you're going to school every day, so you can't really get a whole pile done. So I would
Mm.
say a lot of it was, being in school first of all. I would say second of all, moving out to Marbella.
Mm.
So around July time, just as soon as I finished school, I booked a flight out to Spain, and I moved to Marbella, and that was like the internal shift, even like everything internally, it just shifts completely, and you just become like a better person. You get in better shape, you make more money, you meet better people. Life just gets better in sort of all areas once you move out. So I would say those two things are probably the biggest ones, yeah.
A lot of boys are like yourself when they kind of taste success, they just move out to a hub, whether it be, Miami if you're in America, Marbella, Dubai. Why is that? And like, what did Marbella actually have to offer, and how did it create such a positive effect on you?
I mean, it's just the way I look at it anyway. Is that it's just about being around money. Like if you move out to Dubai, there's money everywhere. There's billions and billions. Like even if you look at one place, like there's billions of dollars there. It's like there's
Mm.
money everywhere. And if you're in a place where you're constantly surrounded by money and success, and even the people around you, if everything is like successful, the sort of around you, you're going to sort of blend in with that. You're going to become that person. Like you're always going to be, what's the saying? It's like you're always going to be the equation of your five, or the five people you spend the closest time to, or the most time to. So like if you live with like two or three other boys that are doing extremely well or doing the same thing that you're doing, and you're all sort of locked in, you're going to become that person even more. And there's just a huge identity shift there. I mean, especially if you walk out in the road and you see a Lamborghini just like zoom past you in Marbella, like there's money everywhere, and you sort of just start to believe that your mind just gets expanded. And I think in Ireland it's super hard to do that. Even like it's super hard to like go outside, like all you see is like fields and sheep. It's super hard to like have an open mind, like a wider vision, if you know what I mean, whenever you're in Ireland. But I think it's just opening up your mind to bigger and better things.
Mm. And you were saying like key a key part to you being successful is finishing school. Do you ever think of like dropping it? 'Cause I know even before you're on, there's been a couple of times I'm like, oh, I'm got to finish school, and especially if you are making a couple of grand a month already. Does that ever cross your mind?
It did a couple times, but I know I know my mother wouldn't let me. My mother would never let me do that. So like it did cross my mind, but I didn't even say it to her because I knew the answer was always going to be no. And I was like, I might as well just finish it out. I might as well just spend the extra few months, finish it out, and yeah, sort of just grind through it. I'm sure for yourself, you're sort of in a similar boat. You're like, yo, I might as well just finish it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, there was a while there where I wasn't too sure, but made sure, and sure I'm in 50 finish it out. And
Yeah.
well, in terms of, obviously you said, being around kind of a lot of money, being around good lads. Was there anything in terms of kind of operation side of business, or maybe sales or acquisition, that changed, that allowed you to scale so much?
I think it also ties back to the thing about moving out to Marbella, but I think it's just having a bigger mindset towards it, or sort of like more of an open mindset towards it. I sort of realized that if I want to scale to bigger numbers, I have to first of all like become the person who scale to those numbers before actually reaching that revenue number, and obviously that means having certain habits, doing certain things on a daily basis, and it also means getting better at marketing, or sort of increasing like marketing spend if you're running ads, or sending out more cold emails. Like there's a few things that you can do always to sort of grow yourself first of all, and obviously grow the business too. So I would say strategically, it was sort of just taking the leap to actually invest in a lot more things. Like we invested in a lot more cold email inboxes so we could send out more emails. We hired a couple of closers back in August. I had them up through August, September, October, and it's really just like trying new things, trial and error, sort of biting the bullet and taking more risks. I think is a big one too, because obviously you learn a lot from like trying. You mightn't succeed the whole time. You might have a minor setback, but at least you obviously have that in the back of your head that okay, well if that didn't work, I'm not going to do that again, or maybe it worked in some ways, so I might replicate that again. So yeah, I think just trying more things, taking more risks, man. I think it's the answer is often taking more risks and just biting the bullet.
And you often hear, take risks like you're saying, and just fail, and fail fast. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, man. I
Mm.
think if you don't do that, like you're gonna you're gonna be stuck, man. Like you're not really gonna grow that much if you don't take those risks, because obviously it puts you in an uncomfortable situation. Like you don't wanna invest 5K into ads or into cold email, and then if you do that, obviously it puts you in a situation where you have to make it work. Whether that's even in the thing you invested in or not, you still have to make it work because you invested so much money into it. And obviously that comes with a time thing too. It's like if you do risk that much, you sort of do the trial and error thing. You grow more as a person too, and obviously you know then what to do in business. So I think just fail as much as possible. I've failed hundreds, thousands of times, and it only grows you. Like if
Mm.
you fail 100 times, the 101st time, you're most likely to succeed. So it's yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
And you've been kind of commenting a lot on kind of internally, acting like the version of you want to be, creating those habits. Why is that? Why are you so focused on mindset?
Great question, man. Great question. So at the start of my journey, I was looking a lot into mindset. Some YouTube video popped up. I was probably meant to be studying for my mocks or something, but some YouTube video popped up in my feed, and it was basically explaining mindset and explaining like if you can master the internal, it's going to show in the external, and you're going to become obviously a better person, better man, going to make more money, all that sort of stuff. And obviously at first, once you start studying mindset, you think it's not real. You think it's just a made up thing. But once
Mm.
you actually start implementing it, once you actually start taking it or taking action on it, like for example, what I mean by taking action is like meditating and journaling and things like that. Sort of all the woo woo stuff. It's something that I learned very very early on, and I'm very grateful that I did, because it grew me to sort of the person I am today. Um, yeah, man. I think if you can become the person before you actually are that person. If you can become the person internally, like you have the same confidence as the person who's already making 100K a month. You know have the same lifestyle, the same friends, the same business model as a person who's already making 100K a month. Like you walk like that guy already. You wake up, you're excited to work because you know internally you make 100K a month. Like you're going to become that person eventually, and you're going to become that person a lot quicker.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's a big part.
I don't know if I actually told you this, but you posted a story. I think it was just before New Year, and it was kind of had like a checklist every day for certain things they have to complete. I actually started doing that, and it was a complete game changer. Really helped me out. Just even that from that little story made a massive difference. But what habits do you have on a daily basis? Do you think really make a difference for you?
Yeah, that's sick to hear that, man. Because obviously in the content that I post anyway, and I'd say a lot of people could agree is like you want to just like help as many people as possible, right? You,
Mm.
it's not really like you don't want to be selfish, but you want to help as many people as possible. So I appreciate that. But I'd say in terms of like the habits I'm doing every day, and like a lot of it is the same habits I've been doing before. But what you'll notice, and I'm sure you've noticed this yourself because you've actually done it, but if a day goes by and you don't stick to those habits, you don't stay disciplined with those like small habits, even if they're like small things you do every day. If a day goes by and you don't do that, you just feel like shit. You feel like
Mm.
you don't
Yeah.
feel worthy. You kind of just you're sort of knocked off your game. So
Mm.
the actual habits that I do, I go to the gym. Like I don't go every day, but I go like maybe 4 or 5 times a week. What I have written down in my notes app that's what I do every day is first of all have an early wake up. Past couple of days, been a bit jet lagged from from flying over here, so it didn't really happen. But typically like 7 a.m. like no later than 7 a.m. During the summer it was like 6 a.m. just because it's brighter earlier and it's a lot better. It gets warm a lot earlier, but waking up no later than 7 a.m. Just going out, getting up, getting after the day. Meditating is a big one that I do every day, so I'll just basically relax for 15, 20 minutes and I'll sort of play over my vision in my head. So I have a vision basically of where I want to be in 4 or 5 months' time,
Mm.
and I'll have that like every single detail there, like down to a T. So like where I'm waking up in the morning, what I hear as soon as I wake up, how do I feel? Do I feel confident? I check my phone. How many Stripe notifications how many Stripe notifications came through that night? Things like that. If you have a vision like of where you want to be in like in 4 or 5 months time, I read over that or basically play that scene over and over in my head every single morning, and it basically tells my subconscious mind that that's already happened, that scene's already happened, and if I feel like that person already, I'm going to take those actions throughout the day that person would take. Like for example, the 100K a month version of me, I'm going to take actions every day that guy would take. So I might launch ads or send out more cold emails or walk with more confidence or whatever it is, like start new conversations, things like that. So meditating is extremely important for me, and I do it every day. I would highly encourage everyone to do it. It's just it's a game changer. It's not that hard to do. 10, 15 minutes every day, and it'll change your day for sure. I would say the third one would be reading a book. So I think it's even just these small habits. They don't even have to make a huge impact. They don't have to take long, but just these small habits to sort of reinforce in your mind that you are disciplined. Like I'm sure for yourself, you it's like whenever you're doing these tasks every day or these sort of small discipline things, it's not even the fact that they're hard. It's just the fact that you done them. That you told
Mm.
yourself that you were going to do them, and you went out and done them. You went out and completed everything, and then that's telling yourself that all right, I actually am a disciplined person. I actually am worthy of success, of more money, of getting in better shape. I actually am worthy because I'm disciplined. So a lot of it's internal. A lot of it's the subconscious mind, and it is very interesting, sort of that stuff. But yeah, reading the book. So I'm actually reading about meditation and sort of mindset right now. Um, but I would say reading the book is pretty good. What else is there? Cold shower. Cold shower is a big one. Right now, I'm actually jumping in the pool at like 6 a.m. So it's sick. But cold shower. If you have a pool, if you're lucky enough to have a pool, jump in the pool, and early in the morning, get yourself active, get yourself ready, and yeah, man. I mean, I think just really being acting like that guy, throughout the day. Hitting your macros too is a big one. Staying healthy, eating enough calories, something that I've just struggled with before. But once you sort of set yourself out to do it every day, it becomes easy. Recording content, for me, I like to record like one Instagram video a day, maybe two or three YouTube videos every week, and like a few Instagram stories. So making content is a big one for me too. But I mean, I think everyone's different, man. Once you have, even for anyone listening, like once you have some sort of 5 or 6 tasks that you don't currently do, that you want to start doing, write them down in your notes app, have a little checklist there beside you, and just start ticking them off as you do them throughout the day. Whenever you're in bed at night time, you check your checklist, or you take a look at it, and if it's all completed, perfect. You just know that you crushed today. You couldn't have done anything better. You couldn't have done anything more to win and to move one step closer to your goal.
Amazing. Oh, well, what you said there is really kind of the subconscious mind and literally just doing what you set out to do. Because even one thing I started doing, like that, your notes app thing, is I actually set a weekly task as well. So I work out 3 to 4 times a week now, and I've started going on runs twice a week since then. So since late December, and even in doing things like Josh and Warren talk about this a lot, it's just doing what you set out to do. So if you say you're going to go for a run, you do it. Then you trick the subconscious mind into knowing, okay, I'm somebody who goes for runs. So I think that's really interesting when you say that. And I want to go into something, because you started this at the end of fourth year. Like, you were still 16 at the time, and a lot of boys, they be getting into it when they're any age from 14. I know I started checking out when I was about 14, and then the 18 and onwards. I mean, what would you give these lads who are looking at it from a young age? What would be your piece of advice?
I would say the biggest one is don't let other people's opinions sort of hold you back. It's very easy to get into that, once you're young, once you're still in secondary school especially. I think once you sort of pass out of secondary school, it becomes a bit easier because everyone's sort of doing their own thing. But don't be afraid of what other people are going to think, because at the end of the day, it's your own life. Like it's only going to be you. Like you're going to be on your own for the next few years. You're going to be going to college, whatever it is. If you don't start, like if you did listen to what everyone else was saying, and like even the people you love the most, even your family, they might tell you that maybe I don't know about this, or maybe you should have a backup plan, or maybe you should go to college. And it's really like just sticking to your gut. Like just go and do it. Just go and if you tell yourself you're going to make something work, you're doing online business, whatever, you're doing sales, etc. Like you can make it work. You don't have to go the traditional route and sort of go to college or listen to what other people think. But I think definitely, like, a lot of people will try to sort of drag you down, even if they don't mean to. It's not coming from hate or anything like that. It's just they're going to want the best for you, and they think the best thing for you is to sort of follow the safe route. And also the other side of that is people don't want you surpassing them. So if someone sees you do pretty well, people don't want to see you do well. It's just a human thing. It's nothing like against you as a person. It's just other humans don't want to see other people, or humans don't want to see other humans do better than them. It's just a subconscious thing. So they're going to subconsciously start dragging you down and sort of getting you back into old habits and not going out and doing actually what you want to do. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. It was huge. I mean, I know even for myself, like I didn't tell anyone I was doing online business until like right up until the end of 6th year. So I kept it a secret for like 2 years, and like no one knew about it. Well, my closest friend knew about it. Obviously, my family knew about it, but other than that, it was just a complete secret because I was too scared of what other people would think, what other people would say. And then there was one day I was like, fuck it, man. Like, I'm just gonna post a video. So I just posted a video explaining what I was doing. It got like, I think it got like 150k views on TikTok because everyone was like, what the fuck? Like, it was just kind of so random. No one really expected it. And yeah, I was just super scared. But you don't have to be. You know, it's not that bad, man. Just just do what you love. Don't really care what other people think.
And do you think, looking back now, do you think that was the right thing to wait?
I mean, I think there's a couple of ways of looking at it, man. There definitely is because obviously, if you don't say anything, if you keep it a secret, like you then have no one to sort of drag you down. You've no one to
Mm.
sort of. Obviously, you might think you're going to get made fun of, but at the end of the day, who really cares? But I mean, me personally, I'm sort of glad that I did wait. You know, I'm sort of glad that I did sort of keep it a secret. I don't think you have to. I think me personally, like where I was at that time, where I was in terms of like life, business, and things like that, I was a lot less confident. I cared a lot more about what other people thought about me, and even though it's only 8 months ago, 8 9 months ago now, I think that comes again to moving out to Marbella. I think it changed me hugely as a person, but I don't think myself could have sort of handled it as well as I could now if I hadn't waited. So I think there's a few different ways of looking at it, man, but it really just depends on the person.
And being around all these lads in Marbella and being around these successful people, what is some of the most common traits you see across all of these
Mm, that's a good one. Um, Common traits. I would say people around you here or in Marbella especially, or even if you do move out to live with other people, they all want to see you do well. Like they all want to, like no one wants to see anyone else sort of get left behind or do less than them. And I think it's great. Everyone just wants everyone to win, and everyone will help each other win. If I ever needed anything, I know I could reach out to anyone, any one of my friends I know. Doesn't matter who it is. I could reach out to them, and they'd help me. They'd give them, or they give me everything they have, and to try help me out. So it's really really supportive, sort of in like the community. I'm sure you know yourself from speaking to Josh and Warren and Joe that like they'd do anything for you. It's like if you ever
people?
needed anything, you'd reach out to them, and they'd help you out with everything. So I think that's a huge one, man. Like you got to sort of be like that. Obviously, you gotta work hard also to sort of get here. But it's like once you're sort of at this stage where you have some sort of business, you might be doing over 10k a month, whatever. After that, it's like a lot of it comes into mindset. In my opinion, it's like if you can sort of learn mindset and sort of get ahead that way, you don't have to work 12 14 hour days once you're making like over 10k a month. That's sort of the way I look at it anyway. So yeah, I think there's a few there, but definitely very supportive. I think that's a sick one, man.
And you mentioned kind of the 12, 14 hour days. You hear a lot of that online about, oh, you have to be doing 16-hour days for months. Or what's your opinion on that? What does your work life balance look like?
Yeah, so it's actually funny because once I was in school, it was fucked up, man. It was like it was crazy. It was crazy, but I'd like wake up. I remember me, actually my business partner too. We used to wake up at 5:45 a.m. every morning, and it was actually sick because we could sort of hold each other accountable. If one of
Yeah.
us wasn't like up on the Google Meet at 4:45, we'd start like spam calling like the phones just to make sure we actually got up at that time. And we'd get up early, get like 2 hours work done, take a cold shower. I actually had a cold plunge too back in Ireland, so take a cold plunge after a couple hours work, and get breakfast, head off to school, come back at like 4, do a few more hours work, take some calls, and head to bed, do my meditation, head to bed, and fucking repeat all over again. It's like it was crazy. And I think if you're in school, like I enjoyed that, and I think I definitely wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't sort of go through that phase. It's sort of like a phase of like a year where you just like throw the kitchen sink at it. You just go all in, you work your ass off, and it is a sick thing, definitely. But now it's like I don't do I don't do like a whole pile of work. I don't really work 12, 14 hour days anymore. I would say like my average day would probably be 6 hours. I'll just be like taking calls. I'll be doing some light work, sort of managing the team and things like that. Once you get past like sort of a certain revenue range, this is how I believe it anyways. Once you get past a certain revenue range, you can sort of delegate a lot of things. Then you're sort of just managing people, taking calls, making sure everything's okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think definitely at the start, those long hours, they definitely do help. But once you sort of get to a certain point, they become less important. You can start delegating, using your time, more efficiently.
Hey, I know you probably weren't expecting this interruption, but the last 5 or 10 minutes of James's footage on the podcast actually got corrupted. So we went and we filmed the part two. However, on this part two, the last 3 to 4 minutes got corrupted again. So I know this is a bit messy, but I'm confident that it can be useful to someone, so that's why I'm still putting up. Thank you so much for watching this video as far as you have. And yeah, hope you enjoy. And you were saying as well, James, there, you just have to be able to throw the kitchen sink at it just for like a year, just go full in, 12-hour days. And I do think that's a really important point because I know I myself kind of I know felt victim is the right word, but I kind of got obsessed over the mindset, which I think is a very important part. And I think like you yourself, you focus on meditation and subconscious mind and all of that, which is definitely important. But I think there's definitely an element of just grit that you just need to have. It's like there's going to be times where you feel like quitting, and it's like I'm not going to bother doing this. That you just keep going and keep showing up. And for you, was there any times where you were kind of like what essentially for you was your lowest point where you were like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, but an obstacle that you had to overcome to essentially get to where
That's a
you are
good
today?
question, man. Wow. I never even thought of that, I don't think I've thought of that before. I would say it's always at the very beginning. For me, it was anyway. It was sort of within like the first 6 months. You're kind of thinking, is this worth it? Is what I'm doing like I'm throwing the kitchen sink at it. I'm like investing all this money. Like, what if it doesn't work out? Like, what if I just spent 10K on a programmer or a mentor and it all goes to shit, right? Because at the start, you don't have that solid mindset. You don't really have the proof of concept, and then your mind is like telling you otherwise. So I'd say that was like, you're kind of like, fuck, man, is this really going to work, or how is this going to work out? So I think it's just getting through that first initial stage, and once you're past that, it's like you start getting more proof of concept, you start winning more every day, start signing more clients, everything just starts going your way. So I'd say that getting past that initial like 6 months, even to the first 6 to 12 months, that's like the most important part in my opinion.
And for the first 6 to 12 months, like you said, what was it that motivated you to keep pushing, even when it wasn't clear this was
Yeah,
actually
it's a good
working?
point because I feel like everyone has to have some sort of reason why. They have to have something that pushes them every day, or something that gets them out of bed every morning, something that makes them stay up late and work, especially in that early on stage. I feel like for me, it was just the fact that I didn't want to go to college and I didn't want to get a 9 to 5 and sort of be stuck in that. And I knew I wouldn't be happy with that. So I I just wanted more. I think I just wanted more. And every day that I'd get up early, I'd sort of think of it not working out and sort of seeing where I would be if it didn't work out. And then obviously I'd be like, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to do that. So you kind of just get up a bed then. You get up about at 6 or 5 or whatever it is, do the few hours of work before school. And I think that was really the reason why I didn't want to go down the normal route. I wanted to move out to Marbella, sort of live with my friends, make money online. It's sort of like the typical. Obviously, you have deeper reasons why, like with more emotion attached to them, whatever that is, like retiring your parents or
Yeah.
whatever it is. You're always going to have that too. But I think the big one was I just wanted to work for myself. I wanted to be my own boss.
And well, you can you can become obsessed with goals. And what you're kind of saying is that you used kind of fear as a motivator. To what extent did you use fear and goals? Was there like a certain balance, or were you just kind of so afraid of becoming a version of yourself that you didn't actually like and
I mean, I
respect?
think it was a mix of both. I think in the beginning stage when I didn't know about mindset, I think it was sort of fear. It was fear of like I didn't know where it was going to end up if I didn't do this right or if it didn't work out. But definitely now and definitely when once I started learning more about mindset, it's like if you're constantly in fear or you're scared of this certain thing happening, you're putting energy towards that and you're giving that, more of a chance to actually turn into your reality. So like if you're like scared of, even think of like whenever you're about to do something you don't want to do, like you're very scared of it. Whenever you put attention towards that, you get even more scared and you have even more fear, and then it nearly feels like whatever you were scared of is actually happening. So obviously it's not an ideal way to sort of live your life, like being in fear the whole time. And it works for some people, but then once I started learning more about the mind and mindset, you can start to use the other side of it a lot more. Like you can start to vision where you're going to be. Like, for example, like vision in living in Marbella, or vision in having a business doing 10 mil a year, or whatever that is.